All right. All right. With that out of the way, let's get some coffee up in there. I don't know what PAT stands for. I made it, so it's not that bad. All right. Now, if you watched the MMA Beat last week, didn't make a prediction. I made a proclamation. But then on my radio show on that very same day, my producers hammered me and said, you got to make a pick. Who's going to win, Lovato Jr. or Mousasi? I said Lovato Jr. Now, this is not to make some kind of claim that I make the best predictions, because certainly I do not. I get them wrong, probably about as often as I get them right. But why did I think that Lovato was going to win, or at least have a really good chance at winning? And it was because I liked the style matchup. I thought that Lovato Jr. was pretty good in the striking. Turns out he had a lot more problems there than I thought he would, but did well enough, obviously, to get himself in a position to win. But it was the rest of the game. He can wrestle in ways that most jiu-jitsu guys can't. He is clever in ways that they're not. He's athletic in ways that they're not. And once he gets on top, it's going to be a nightmare for you. And even if he gets underneath, it's going to be a nightmare for you. In terms of middleweights, maybe Demian Maia is better in terms of jiu-jitsu, but even then, it'd be fractionally better. We're talking about one of the best jiu-jitsu competitors ever to get into MMA, certainly the best one in Bellator at this point in terms of his overall skill. And Mousasi is very good on the ground, really good on the ground. But relative to Lovato, it's just not enough. And so when I went back and I watched his fight, man, I was just amazed. I was not surprised exactly, but it's thrilling to watch an upset. And it was interesting to see the tactics that he employed relative to what Mousasi did. So how did Lovato go from being a guy who was a heavy underdog? I think this was only his 10th fight. How did he get to a position that so many UFC middleweights couldn't? I know what some folks are going to say. They're going to say, oh, Mousasi's past it. I saw some folks, some of my friends in media saying Mousasi couldn't beat a top 5 middleweight right now. I don't agree at all. I think everybody is underselling just how good Lovato is. He is very, very, very special. Not saying he can't be beat, not saying he's going to retire undefeated, not saying any of those things. What I am saying is he's a hammer. He's a hammer, and he's a hammer in very, very unique ways. So unique that even one of the all-time best middleweights in Gegard Mousasi couldn't beat him. Could have scored that fight, maybe a draw if he really wanted to, but 3 rounds to 2, Lovato. All right, so how did he do it? Now you're going to say, oh, well, takedowns and wrestling and blah, blah, blah. Right, but let's talk about some of the finer details. Here we are. Let's go to the slide here. All right, here's how Lovato bested Mousasi with his gi on. Okay, so here are the reasons why as I best see them. Now, standard disclaimer, I always say this, I don't present this to you as the best analysis, certainly not the only analysis or the most complete analysis. These are my top-line findings. In fact, I'm really hoping that someone like a BJJ Scout or someone along those lines can really dig into the passing. I'm going to give you an overview of the passing, but I need someone to really dig into the details, because you could do an entire video series just on how he passed from butterfly guard. That's it. That you could do a whole thing just on that, but we don't have time to get into those kinds of things. So let's look at the overall picture here. Okay, people are going to blow up that quote from Mousasi saying, I don't fight because I like this. I fight just to make money. And I believe that. I've known that for some time. I've talked to him a number of times on this show and other ones. That's not an opinion he's hid or something like that. But what I thought was going to happen was if Mousasi was going to win, he was going to jab Lovato's face off, which meant he could be offensive, but he'd be being a little bit risky by pushing into him a little bit too much. He was naturally going to assume some kind of a counter-fighting position, stick and move, stick and move. That enabled Lovato to use his gifts more readily. If you go back and look at some of the takedowns, except for the first round where he doesn't really get it right away, in many of the other rounds, I think 2, 3, and 5, he gets the takedowns right at the beginning of the round, in like the 440 mark, because he was getting after it. He was the one initiating takedowns. He was the one pressing Mousasi into the fence. He was the one trying. And sometimes, like in that 4th round, he got tuned up a little bit for it. But being first, it's not necessarily always the right call, but it can be the right call in the right circumstance It was here, and he exacted it, because what ended up happening was, I always tell this to people about jiu-jitsu, whether it's gi or no gi or MMA. Is it right to open your guard? Is it right, if you're getting a gi grip, to get a grip on the lapel? Is it right to grab the pants? Is it right to, for an Ezekiel, to grab your own sleeve and all that kind of stuff? And the answer is, well, depending, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is, whenever you do something in jiu-jitsu, and this is not always possible, in fact, very often it's not possible, but this is what you should always be thinking. You want to do things on your terms, not theirs. So if I have somebody in my full guard and they stand to pass, and as I've talked about a million times, you can pass from your knees. It's a lot harder. You got to get on your feet traditionally to pass. My guard's going to open. Either I'm going to open it or he's going to break it open, right? So what should I do? I should open it because I don't want him to break it on his terms. I want to open it on my terms. He was initiating offense on his terms, not Mousasi's. That makes a world of difference in the end, because you are always typically going to be one step ahead in every rotation of exchanges, right? So that's the first one. Second, rejecting common wrestling tactics. In the first round, he was getting into him, trying to double leg him, and you could see, dude, Mousasi's takedown defense along the fence line, when he's up here, it is lights out, dude. It is very, very, very good against common wrestling strategies. If you try to go for a high crotch lift, he's going to drop his hips and fight your hands. He's going to have a whizzer at all times. He's going to be turning his base sideways and spreading it. Dude, it's really, really good. So you saw initially Lovato have some problems with that, and then switched up everything by pulling him off the fence, off a failed takedown, and then switching to an inside trip, or other kinds of back trips, or half guard sweeps and stuff like that. And then he would shoot for an entry, wouldn't get it, get stuffed, roll for a half guard, come out back on top. He found ways to get takedowns by not going the direction that previous opposition have gone. There's a new layer of takedowns emerging. Henry Cejudo has a lot of these too, from these unusual positions. They're not jiu-jitsu or wrestling. I mean, you can find them in both. You can find them in judo. It's not where they come from. It's how they're being employed. What we're seeing is now there was this huge wave of these guys being able to take fighters down against the fence, and then it wasn't any good, and now it's good again. But now you're seeing, I think, a new wrinkle in the development of MMA, which is you're getting a guy like Mousasi up against the fence, you're going to have a very hard time taking him down. And sooner or later, he's going to be able to break away. You have to have a new wrinkle. Takedown defense along the fence has gotten very, very good, almost ubiquitously in MMA. So you need to have a new wrinkle. He had a ton of new wrinkles. We're going to look at them. 3, he beat Mousasi's butterfly hooks. Mousasi kept himself safer than most would have by always having one shin inside of his body position, inside the thigh of Lovato, to prevent the worst. Although a couple times he got mounted, obviously, and his back taken. But it could have been way worse. And the reason why it got as bad as it did is because he had a method to get past it, either one or both, or to neutralize it if he had one on a steady side. Like, there's a whole lot of tactics. We'll look at those too. But you saw Mousasi, he likes to keep a nice tight position with his elbows in close, bicep control, knee up by the elbow, and he likes to use those butterfly hooks to prevent getting past or mounted. He beat him. He beat him a lot. Not as many times as he could have, because Mousasi's very good, but very often he beat him. 4, pressure smash pass. We're going to look at some of the same positions that last week Aaron Pico found himself in. You're going to see the difference. You're going to see the difference, what it looks like with a master tactician at the helm of the ship on that one. High tripod, easy scoop, pulling, and then cross-facing. Wait till you see how many times he gets the cross-face on Mousasi as a method of control. Again, how do you control someone on the ground? You must control their head/neck and their hips. Why is that important? Because if you can control both of those, you control their spine. And if they can't move their spine, they are immobilized. That is the key. You must have both under control to have full control. One or the other is simply not going to be enough. He gets both. 5, combine subs with positional advancement or positional deterrence. This was amazing. Several times Mousasi was on his way to getting up and getting away, and he would go for some submission, typically a front choke or a guillotine choke. This would cause Mousasi to make some kind of decision where A, it would deter a position, or through deterrence, it would actually allow Lovato to advance, including a back take late. Pretty nifty. You've seen stuff like this in the, who's the last samurai in the UFC? The Hawaiian kid. God, my memory is just absolute trash. Jesus, what is his name? Last Samurai. He fought Ben Nguyen. I can see he's the skinny, lanky kid. He fought Ben Nguyen, and every time Ben Nguyen was trying to get up, you'd see him go for a guillotine. Why? Because he couldn't, wrestling for wrestling, out-wrestle Ben Nguyen. But introducing threats of submission into the get-up process, it forced Ben Nguyen to relent and go back down. I got to see, what is this kid's name? I mean, this is killing me. What is his name? Louis Smolka. Louis Smolka did it to Ben Nguyen. You've seen it many other times as well, but that's just one incidence of it. And he uses it both ways, to get you to go back down or to get you to make a choice about which way to go, and then he uses that for positional advancement. It's high-level, clever stuff. Lovato Jr., if you are not paying attention, I am telling you, this was not an accident. There's nothing about this that was accidental. My colleague on the site, Jose Youngs, was asking, is this one of the biggest upsets of the year? And of course, maybe by the odds, which is how it's determined. But I was trying to tell people, I didn't know if he was going to win because you're fighting freaking Gegard Mousasi, but this was a little bit foreseeable. You could foresee this happening. This is a guy who, on the ground, it's not the same as these other jiu-jitsu black belts. It's not even the same as these other jiu-jitsu black belt champions. This is another level above that, and you saw it in this fight. I don't have any numbers, by the way, because there are none that I'm aware of, none that are super helpful anyway, but I wish I did because I would love to see it. But in any event, let's take a look at what happened. Now, I have to apologize for the quality of this because why am I paying for a DAZN subscription if I can't get the main events to fights that are supposed to be airing on the thing? And I get it, the main event aired on the Bellator app. Then I go to the Bellator app and the main event's not on there, and I'm trying to get as close to broadcast quality as possible with these slides. I don't know what happened. DAZN, justify to me the bill I get every month for your service if I'm not getting main events, if I'm not getting, frankly, relatively historic upsets from your organization that are like between two great competitors. Tell me why I'm paying for that service, because I can't figure that one out. Maybe you can. And whoever's call that is, there better be a really good reason why I can't watch the main event as regularly as normal. So I found a way to get it, but anyway, you get the idea. All right, so this is early on. This is one of the early wrestling tactics that fails. So this is Mousasi along the fence line. Let me blow it up here a little bit so you can see. Here is Mousasi. Here is Mousasi. Here is Lovato, okay? So here's what's going to happen a little bit. You're going to see this wrestling takedown fail. By the way, Mousasi, my man, always has a whizzer. You're never going to catch this guy without a whizzer. He is king of the whizzers. And it keeps, again, from making things go from bad to worse. In any event, here we are. And you see him pressing in, pressing in. You see him here. You can't quite tell exactly what the details are, but they're hand fighting here, right? They're hand fighting here all the time. All right, so we'll zoom out a little bit so it gets a little clearer. So you see him hand fighting here. He tries to go for an elbow. Mousasi reads it and ducks, right? Goes back. He's head fighting into him. Lovato is. He's head fighting into Mousasi, which is something. But Mousasi pulling up on the chin the whole time, and he can't really get it, can he? He tries to step through and pick up, can't get his hands clasped. There's lots of reasons why this takedown fails. Look at how good Mousasi's takedown defense is against the fence. Look at him, just an absolute brick wall here. Turns his hips over, right? Gets a frame out. He's creating a frame, and he gets the frame out right here against the face of Lovato. Sinks his hips down, creates separation. Lovato's kind of all over him here, but can't really do a whole lot with it. Now who has the head inside position? Mousasi. So this is early on when he's not making the proper adjustments. Lovato isn't, and this just doesn't go anywhere. He just can't do a thing with this. All right, look at him. And then finally he breaks away and then goes after him. All right, so this is a little bit later. Let me zoom out here a little bit. What's he going to do? Watch in just sort of, this is just great timing and a great, I don't think, there's nothing complicated here. I just don't think Mousasi was expecting it. So he lowers his level, and you see Mousasi just kind of, I think he was expecting what? Like, he drops his hands for a little bit. He was either expecting a punch or to drop his hands all the way for a takedown. Instead, you see Mousasi, you see Lovato go for a knee tap. which is interesting. He does it same side shoulder and then on the leg. So usually it's opposite. I always thought it was the opposite side. You block one side, then you come to the other side, and then you run them not backwards, but in a direction, right? Which he does kind of. He just picks it up. It's almost like an ankle pick. It's weird. It's different. Anyway, he takes him down here and begins to pass. Pay attention here. We're going to keep looking at this over and over and over again. Watch this. Takes him down. Watch. This is Lovato. Watch what he does to secure the position. Pay attention to this arm. Boop. Crossface. Crossface. You must control their hips while controlling their head/neck. The crossface is how you commonly do that. There's other ways to do it. That is commonly how you do it. If you want to control somebody, you must do it. Now, what you're going to commonly see here is this is like a normal half guard on this side, right? Which means Mousasi might get a butterfly hook on this left side, which means later on you're going to see, to combat that so you don't get rolled, you're going to see Lovato move this arm past the head so that he can threaten this other arm and then get this leg as his base under him. We'll get to that a little bit later. Crossface. And then he closes the position here on the hips. All right? Just want to point that out. This is what I'm talking about. See this inside hook? There's a lot of ways to beat that inside hook off a traditional half guard. You're going to see Lovato bring his head around this other side and then his arm to the other side so that his weight is scrunched up and all facing this side of the body, right? Nearly gets tossed, plants the hand, comes around, stops it, and then eventually he's going to go all the way to the other side, right? You're going to see. By the way, look at how he balances off of his head through all these passes. Okay. How do you pass someone's butterfly guard? Lots of different ways. Here's what you're looking for. If you're on top of somebody, let's say they've got double underhooks and they've got butterfly guard, you have to constantly rotate your hips to then create an opening and then get your leg to pummel inside. And that can be a lot of different ways you can do it. Gordon Ryan is the king of this. He's got a whole, and by the way, not just because he can do it, he has a whole system of it where he will, remember when he did quintet and he was subbing like Josh Barnett and everybody else and their brother? Go back and look. He plants his hands on the mat, which you can't do here because in jiu-jitsu, someone has to beat your jiu-jitsu with theirs. In MMA, you have to make someone respect your jiu-jitsu, which means you have to hold them and control them. So, in jiu-jitsu, Gordon Ryan will plant his hands on the mat and then use that as a leg pummeling system to find either a mount or pass or leg weave pass or, God, Jesus, I cannot think. Oh, God, all right, lots of different entries. So watch for Lovato. He'll put a foot up on one side and bring the other one out, then he'll switch, and then he'll pummel in with the leg, and then spread, and then knee cut or go to mount, right? Lots of different ways. So you can see him, here he is, pummeling in on this side, trying to switch over for a knee cut. Can't quite do it. Why? Because he's blocked here. So he's probably going to switch sides. You see that? Leg drag. Leg drag was the other position you can come to. See this knee here? If he drops this knee straight and comes around the other side, he can get to what's called leg drag position, right? So lots of different ways you can control this because he's got the underhook here, right? And Mousasi gets the exact position I'm talking about, right? So let's see. Da-da-da-da-da. So there he is. So his hips are now rotating side to side. You see that? He's stepping up here with this leg, which means he's probably going to switch. There it is. And he uses this to bring it straight up. And now he's going to slice it out. It's called a knee cut or a knee slice pass. Like this, he's threatening mount right now. So he's tricking you to think, oh, I might want to go to mount, right? And then he switches his base and then comes in for the knee cut. This arm on the knee cut is essential because if you don't have it, they can just take your back off the knee cut. A lot of times when you see these women, there's less of a problem now, but they would throw each other, right? In women's MMA, these head tosses. Ronda Rousey could do it because when you do it, or like a Josh Barnett's really good at it, when he did it to Dean Lister, he didn't get it from the throw, but the finish position, the scarf hold. The reason why the scarf hold works under like a good judo or a catch wrestling player is because they use it to pin once they get it, and they're pushing into your chest. A lot of times jiu-jitsu people don't have that same level of finesse or just frankly brutality and understanding of the position. So one way to make sure you don't get past when you hit a knee cut, which ends up in a similar position, like if he was just around the head, Mousasi would just take his back. Like let him have the pass, then take their back, right? That's what you would do. But this arm prevents him from coming around. So he's just gonna finish the pass. Let's see, comes around. You see him pinning, here's his foot, pinning the leg all the way to the end, right? And then he's just gonna slide that bitch through. Whoop, there he is. Nice pass, side to side, pummel, pummel, fake mount, then go knee cut, right? We talked about the metagame last week. Make him think you're doing something to get a reaction, do the opposite. There he is, then he goes right to knee on belly. By the way, what's he doing the whole time? You see Mousasi trying to get this arm in here because he's trying to make sure he doesn't get cross-faced too badly. And what does he do? He gets cross-faced. It is essential. It is essential to control. I talk about grips all the time, cross-face, especially if you're a big guy. Tries to step over here with the leg, because if you can do that and you can isolate this arm, by the way, you can't see this detail here. This is Braulio Estima style. Watch how often Lovato makes sure Mousasi's elbows never touch the mat. They're always lifted off the ground. You see him scooping it under there? A little bit hard to tell. And then he tries to step over, because if he can, then he can just isolate this arm and then submit him with a Kimura. But, you know, Mousasi's wise to it, so he has to bail on that. But look at this. The hand is under. So Mousasi can't get to an elbow or a hand to post or anything. He's kind of controlled, right? And then back to the crossface. Not a hard crossface, but, you know, threatening. Uses that to get knee on belly, right? Boom, banging on him. Mousasi is trying to get out. And every time he tries to get out, look, he just gets higher and higher into the knee on belly. And then when Mousasi is about to get to a hand or an elbow, this is the thing I talked about in point 5. Lovato goes for a guillotine to sit him back down, can't get it, but then uses it to, there's no choke here, uses it to then just right himself back to his base. Pretty nicely. So positional deterrence there. He didn't get very far with it, but that's pretty nice. All right, I think we're in round 2 here. Here we go. Look at the time on the clock, folks. Be first. Be first. Boom. Goes in for it. Can't get the takedown. This is very Demian Maia-esque. Now, this is one thing he's going to have to be careful about, Lovato. People are going to game plan around this. What happens when Demian Maia shoots for a double? It's not often that successful, but that's not what he needs. He needs you to sprawl in the right direction so that he can just baseball slide underneath, entangle you with his legs, with the underhook that he has. All he needs is the leg entanglement and the underhook on one side for half guard, and you are going to get swept. It is the same for someone of this kind of ability, okay? Watch. He sprawls, and he actually sprawls at like 90 degrees, but which would normally, I think, be like excellent. But this is a guy who's going to use his legs like this. Comes in, steps over. Watch that one more time. He's going to bring in the bottom knee, inside position. Top knee is going to go over the top, scooping it out. Shouts to Seth Smith. Seth Smith is a black belt under Ryan Hall. Used to teach at 50-50, now has his own school called Upstream BJJ in Richmond, Virginia. He showed me this about 10 years ago. What ends up happening is if you have this underhook and you can step over like this on half guard and you actually pull out their base, you spread it to the point where you can then sit up and then you can double off at the angle, which is almost exactly what he does. So look at this. Look at this. He's doing everything. He's got the underhook. Lovato has the underhook and the top leg. This is very bad for Gegard. Very bad. Because now he's going to sit up. He's going to scoot his hips out. He's going to sit up, and then watch this knee rotate over the back. Right? Watch this. He's going to sit up, pop. Now, who has the dominant inside angle for the takedown? You can literally put your palm on the bottom of their knee and double them over. Now, he has good defense for this, but he has the dominant inside position. You cannot let someone of a Lovato or Demian Maia level to get this, because you are going to go for a ride. It's just how it's always going to be. Jesus Christ. All right. Let's see. And then he takes him down and pushes him back here. So now he gets back to the wall. That's fine. He escaped the worst of it. Look at how high this tripod is, man. Look at the angle of the tripod, way on the inside, right? You're going to see more of this. Here we are again. Where are we? We're at 3:17 of the second round. Same kind of thing. Watch. Front kick misses. Right? He's resetting. Boom. Comes in. Tries to go for a takedown. Has that inside position. Mousasi is trying to stuff it. He's already got the outside leg and then the underhook. He's already there. But that doesn't mean he's going to finish the position because he has to really get it over. And Mousasi does kind of the right thing, kind of the wrong thing. He does like an Uchimata here to get him over and lands on top. But he didn't fundamentally correct for everything. Look, watch the knee come over the back. Whoop, like that. You're in the same position. You didn't break it at all. And you can put a palm here and just double off. It can happen. All right? So Mousasi is able to stand because he's strong in this position, man. Crazy, crazy strong. He's able to go back down. He tries sort of a roll through half guard sweep here. Can't quite get it. Still, he's got all as long as he's got this and this, he's in control. He has the dominant inside angle. All right? Boom, da-da-da. All right. Coming through. Trying to take the back here. Mousasi holds on to the whizzer. He's got a whizzer in between that prevents, but look at the space that Lovato is occupying now, right? Just really giving him all kinds of problems. Here we go, third round. Let's see, look at the time on the clock, 4:46. Be first, right? Mousasi standing very still, waiting for it. Comes in for that same knee tap, can't get it. Look at this switch. Pulls the leg up for a single leg and then trips the outside one. Hips still facing the mat, as we've talked about. However, uses that to then grab the back. And now where is he? He's got dominant inside control, right? And he can just be all over you. Now, this whizzer is going to keep Mousasi safer than ordinarily would be, but he lets it go. And now where he's cooking with gas, and there's lots he can do. And look at this outside stomp position. So he dropped. Look at what he does here. He's going to switch his hips and then try to bring him backwards this way, because that's the open space. Mousasi holds on to the fence a number of times here, right? So let's just move through here very quickly. You can see here, this is the same position. And Leon Roberts I think it was the referee, was like, do it again, and I'm going to take a point. And then he does it again, right? Here. Look at that. Sits through, but eventually he relents and then just rolls all the way through and comes up in actually like a modified leg drag right there. Where in pure jiu-jitsu, to get out of a modified leg drag, you can actually just push out straight with your legs, but then you just end up in side control. So you got to pick your poison there, right? And by the way, what does he do? Fires for the crossface, which Mousasi blocks, but still, what is he doing? Control. And then uses that to then shuffle around, and it looks like take mount, right? Or at least bang on him from half guard. This is what keeps Mousasi safe. That inside prevents the whole thing, but you can beat this hook. It's possible. He just does a really good job of never really relenting on that. But look at the tripod here. He is nearly vertical. That's what I'm talking about. When you tripod into someone, you got to get high in the air, man. High in the air. All right. And then let's see how he passed. Let me see real quickly. Right? So he goes here. So now he's controlling this left leg. Let's see what he does. He's going to bring that inside like he's going for a knee cut. Mousasi's going to stop it. But to stop it, he actually lets go of the other leg. Right? So now that other side is open. So that just means he has to bring his leg up further, beats the knee line, and now he takes mount. Tricked him. Thought he was going one way, got his defense to drop, and then spread. So the first time he went mount, then knee cut. This time he went knee cut, mount. And then he holds him here. Last round, 5:52. Look at the time. Every time. Getting after it. Every time. I'm going to need Danny Segura to come in here, by the way. Not to show him anything, I got to show him what's on the phone. So if Danny, you can come in here for a second, that'd be great. All right. Now watch this. Goes for a traditional wrestling takedown. Gets his hands clasped, but you can see Gegard has the whizzer, hips to the side, so he's good right now. Picks him up. Now, he couldn't really drive him straight back, and I don't think he's got the energy to take him at an angle just by lifting him. His back's kind of hunched a little bit. It's going to be hard, so why bother? Why don't you just scoop the leg out and then take him in this direction? Here, come here for a second. There's no other way to do this. I know it's the last show. All right. Take down this number. Hi. Okay. Can you hit him up and fix this, please? Thank you. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. All right. Here we are. And then takes him at an angle. Boom. All right. And then gets him down. Now watch this. Look at this position. Look familiar? Look familiar to you? All right. They just won't stop. They just won't stop. All right, here we go. Pressing on the head, turns him, loses that leg because he wants to take him this way, right? Loses the leg. What's he going to do? Steps back up. Look how high the tripod is. Mousasi brings his knees in tight so he doesn't get passed or mounted. Let's see what Lovato does. Picks him up. Mousasi keeps that hook inside so nothing bad happens, right? Takes him away from the fence, grinds him back in, turns him off of it. Look at how high he is. And did you miss that little detail? Watch. You can't quite see it. The right arm of Lovato is going to come across there. Look right there. Look at this. See that? Why is he doing that? Because he's going to cross-face him. There's the cross-face. That's the elbow of Lovato, and then brings him right on down, and then gets on top. Now, Mousasi's got the knee inside, so he prevents the worst of it, but you get the idea. And then what does he do? Scoops the elbow. High-level mechanics and everything else. High level, right? And then last but not least, whenever you've got this one side, whenever you've got this hook on the inside, you can beat it by bringing this in, live toes, and then you threaten the arm over here, which is what he's doing, right? But Mousasi gets to a knee, is going to come around, wants to get up to his feet, so Lovato threatens a choke right there. While he's threatening the choke, steps around this knee, and then can't get the choke, turns it, forces Mousasi to make a bad choice, lets him go, and then as soon as he does, he begins to take the back. This is the end of the 5th round, and he held the back the rest of the way. You can put the thing up. That's what I'm talking about, folks. This was foreseeable. This was very foreseeable. You're talking about someone who's going to put pressure on you, who's going to make it hard to stop their pass, who's going to make it hard to stop everything that they do. It's going to make it very, 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 very difficult, okay? Lovato Jr. is the real deal Holyfield. He's a great guy, a real martial artist, which is rare these days, and I was happy to see it. But I'm also happy to see, one last point, we always talk about how we want these well-rounded fighters. You do want to be well-rounded. But in this day and age, being well-rounded is great. Having that kind of specialty, though, that's an ace in the hole that's going to be hard for anybody to stop. Congratulations to Rafael Lovato Jr. on winning your first world title. And Mousasi will be back, but that's the Monday Morning Analyst.